Hi class, and welcome to the Understanding the Fieldwork Assignment Theory to Observation video. This video will help you understand how to complete your fieldwork in the course. The fieldwork is worth 25% of the course grade, a quarter of your grade, so you want to take some time to do this. It's due on May 6th. It may be submitted up to 1 week late with a 10% point penalty, but it may not be revised because it occurs so late in the course. The first thing we're going to do is learn where the fieldwork materials are located on the course site. If you look on the course site, you'll see the folder Major Assignments. Again, this is where all of the major assignments in the course are kept. Open the folder. If you open the folder, you'll see the 4 major assignments in the course. Today we are talking about the last folder, Theory to Practice Observation, or what we commonly call the fieldwork. In this folder, you'll find all of the instructions, some paperwork that you'll need, and an exemplar that you can look at, as well as the link to submit. If you open up the Fieldwork folder, you'll see a number of things. First of all, you'll see the Chalk and Wire link. Chalk and Wire is the online portfolio system where you'll need to fill out a fieldwork log showing your fieldwork hours. You won't need to upload your assignment to it because this is not a key assessment in your courses, but you will need a Chalk and Wire account. If you click on that link, it will take you to Chalk and Wire and you can see how to set it up. It's a free account. The instructions and the grading rubric are below that, and we'll be going over those in some detail in this video. The Understanding the Fieldwork Assignment video that you're watching is also in this folder. There's an exemplar from a previous semester that you might look at to see the level of detail you need to write about. The Permission to Observe form, which I'll talk about in a minute, is located there, as well as your Fieldwork Hours Diary, where you will record the actual number of hours, the date, and time that you spent on site. The Fieldwork Observation Plan will be due March 4th, and we'll talk about that in a minute. And finally, the link to submit your fieldwork paper is located at the bottom. Submit here. Let's open the instructions and see what they say. Again, this is worth 25% of your grade. It has a 5% or a fieldwork observation plan that's due March 4th. That's worth 5%, and the paper itself is worth 20%. So the first thing you're going to do is to make arrangement to observe a classroom for a minimum of 6 hours. Not 10 hours, because we allow 4 hours for planning and writing the paper. So you're responsible for observing for 6 hours. You're going to fill out the observation plan that I'll show you in a minute, and then you're going to get approval from the professor, from me. Then you'll start your 6 hours of observation. Remember a couple of things. First of all, your observations should correspond to your certification area. So for example, if you are math, then you'll need to observe in a math classroom in grades 7 to 12. If you are taking a certificate in special ed or students with disabilities, you may observe in that classroom as well. It's better to limit your observations to one or two classrooms. Sometimes students try to do more than that and the paper becomes very choppy. You may not use the same observation to write two or more fieldwork papers. So if you want to try to double up and do double duty, you're probably not going to be able to do that because we do put these papers through Safe Assign and it catches the duplication. So make sure you're doing the 6 hours for this class separate from any other observation you're doing. This is the fieldwork observation plan. So the first thing you want to do in a few weeks is to think about where you're going to do your observation and get permission to observe there. Then you're going to complete this form, which has a number of questions. What's the name of the school? What grade level it is? Do you have permission? And then you're simply going to submit that to the link in the folder for the fieldwork that says Fieldwork Observation Plan. That is due March 4th and it's 5% of your course grade. I will approve it and return it to you, and then you may begin observing. Please don't do any observations until you get this returned back to you. You'll need to learn some of the theories in the course to be able to do this assignment well, so you don't want to do this in February, for example. Every semester, the dean signs what's called a permission to observe form. And this is simply meant if you need it to verify giving it to the principal or the teacher or whoever you need to give it to at the school to say this is a valid assignment. You don't need to get it signed. You don't need to return it to the professor, to me. It's just to present to whoever to validate the assignment. You may or may not need it. So you're going to go into the classroom and be a fly on the wall. You're not going to interact with the students or a lot with the teacher. You're going to observe the 6 hours. You're going to jot down when you were there. And you're going to take notes on what you see occurring, what learning activities are occurring, because you have to relate those learning activities to three of the following learning or motivational theories. And the theories are listed here on the screen: Piaget, Vygotsky, Erikson, Kohlberg, Skinner, and Eccles. So each week we've been studying and we'll continue to study these theories and theorists to hear what that they say, how learning and development and behavior occurs. And so what you need to do is think about an activity that you saw in the classroom and relate it to one of these theories for a total of 3 theories. Please note that you shouldn't use any theories other than these without approval. And you shouldn't use constructivism and direct instruction. Those are not theories, they're teaching approaches based on some of the theories. So you're going to take lots and lots of notes, writing down the learning activities that you see especially, and then you're going to write a paper. The paper should be a minimum 4 to 6 page double spaced with at least 3 citations and matching references. So what might you use for a citation? Well, one could be your textbook. Another could be a valid website that you're using. If you have another book or article, but make sure you have 3 educational citations to support your paper. Make sure you write this in Word using APA format. In your paper, you want to have the following sections, and I actually encourage students to use the words they are bolded as headings to make it clearer for the reader. Let's go through what each of the sections are. Context of the observation. You're going to describe the dates, times that you observed, the school, the grade level, the teachers, and the location, the number of students. You're going to have a brief section describing the learning activities that took place. So this doesn't need to be the majority of your paper, but it should be enough detail so that you get a sense of what was going on, that you give a sense of what was going on in the classroom. See the exemplar in the folder if you need help with this. Then you're going to describe each of the 3 theories that you've observed. That might be a good section to have your citations. Next, you'll talk about how the learning activities you observed relate to the um, three theories that you've selected. So if you decide, for example, to showcase Skinner, you would say, Skinner's operational theory says, and then you would write a paragraph or two about that. And then you would talk about the lessons that you observed, how Skinner was, um, was enacted in the classroom. Maybe you saw the teacher giving rewards and punishments. At the end, you're going to write a reflection summarizing what you learned in this assignment. It should be more than a conclusion. So you might want to think about what you've learned, what surprised you, what misconceptions you had that you've cleared up, what you took away that you can use in your own classroom, and more. Don't just summarize. Don't just say, I went and I observed and I enjoyed it very much. What did you learn? And also references for any citations you have. And just like in previous papers, make sure that for every citation you have a reference and you don't just stick a reference in there with no citations. Your fieldwork diary, as I said, tracks the dates and times you observed in the classroom and make sure they total at least 6 hours. It could be submitted separately or it could be submitted as an appendix to your paper. Upload the whole paper on Blackboard to the link in the folder and complete your fieldwork form on chalk and wire. This is a look at how the fieldwork hours diary looks. You're going to observe every time that you go in, you're going to put the date, the time the observation started, where it was, the teacher you observed, the time the observation ended, and so the total time. In the last column, all those numbers should add up to at least 6 hours. Let's take a look at the grading rubric that I will use to score your paper. You'll notice that the grading rubric closely corresponds to the sections that we talked about before, the context of the observation. Did you fully describe it? Did you describe specific classroom activities? Did you describe the 3 learning theories in sufficient detail? And again, look at that exemplar paper to see the level that you need to go here. Did you relate the activities to the theories in a meaningful way? Did you write your reflection, not just as a conclusion, but what you learned? Did you have at least 3 citations and matching references formatted correctly in APA format? Did you include a fieldwork hours diary with at least 6 hours? Was the paper well written, grammar, spelling, APA? And did you submit everything you needed to do, not only the paper to Blackboard, but the fieldwork log? And that's it. Any questions, please feel free to email me at nheilbrenner@mercy.edu. Good luck, everyone.